I didn't make my first investment until I was 23 years old. This is despite working in a finance-based industry, so I was an accountant, and having an interest in stocks since I reckon I was about 16 years old and first learning about them in maths class. Today I'm going to explain why and what shifted my mindset. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Rushock and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be telling you why I didn't invest until I was 23 years old. So I'll talk about what influenced me not investing. So I'm going to be talking about some of the influences around me, education, where to start when it comes to investing, and then I'll talk about what I wish I had done from an earlier age. So the first of those things I want to discuss is the influences around you, because I think your influences around you when it comes to money really influences your mindset when it comes to what to do with your money or what's a priority when it comes to money. So for me, none of my family or friends or even work colleagues, despite working in a finance-based industry, were really ever talking about investing. That wasn't really where their mindset was, so therefore that kind of got inherited onto me. What I found is a lot of the people around me, their priority when it come to money was saving for a house deposit, buying a house, buying a car. They were their ideas of financial security. That was their idea of, well, this is the best use of your money. So therefore, that was my initial mindset was, okay, I want to save as much as I can to get a deposit to buy a house. I think that comes a little bit from being in a regional town where housing was affordable. So therefore, saving $20,000 could genuinely get you a house deposit. And therefore, it was within the reach of a lot of younger people. So I think that's the first thing that potentially stops people from investing is the influences around them, probably starting with their parents, then reaches out to their friends, to colleagues as to what they value from money. And that's not to say that's a bad thing. It's just that that's likely what you will value initially in your life. The next thing that I think stopped me from investing was my education. And this might sound a bit strange because I started a Bachelor of Commerce and I studied a Bachelor of Applied Finance, but I didn't study stock investing. So while a little bits and pieces of this was covered within my courses, they don't talk about, well, what's a good company to invest in and things like that. So again, without someone to tell me, well, look, this is how you should approach investing. This is different mindsets. This is what might be a good return. This is a market return. This is why maybe you can't beat the market return. I kind of thought, well, I don't have a formal education in this. I don't have any qualifications in it. Therefore, maybe I should stick clear of stock investing, even though I had an interest in it. So while there would have been plenty of information on the internet, I don't think there was as much quality information, or maybe information coming from people that are more likely to influence you. So there are now a lot of YouTube channels, similar to mine, of people in their early to mid 20s talking about investing mindsets and talking about basic personal finance education that wasn't around 10 years ago. So that's one of the goals of my channel, is to help educate people. And it's not to say everyone should go and invest, but to understand more about money and mindset around money and why you can think outside the box when it comes to the typical lifespan. So I definitely didn't know about things like the FIRE movement, so the Financial Independence Retire Early movement. And again, that's thinking out of the box, going, okay, what do I actually want to achieve out of life? And therefore, how can I make sure my money is structured in a way so I achieve that? So I didn't have that type of education or awareness, and I think that held me back. And then the third thing is where to start. I had no idea where to start. There's so many different things when it comes to stock investing and so many different options that it can be a bit overwhelming, and therefore you don't do anything. So like I said, I was interested in stock since I think about 16 years old when I first started to learn about dividends and share prices and capital gains and started to go, oh, this is quite interesting. But there's so many different things out there and it's like, oh no, I think I'll stick clear. You've got things such as, well, should I invest in an individual stock? Which broker should I use? What brokerage fees are appropriate? Should I be trying to get a market return? And then you start to hear about things like international shares and alternate options such as crypto, and it starts to get quite overwhelming and there's so many options on the table, and then you're worried that, well, if I pick this one, is that the wrong option? I think you can get caught up in thinking, well, I've got to do thousands of hours of research every time I purchase a share. And back then I didn't know about ETFs or LICs or even managed funds or those kind of options that maybe you don't have to individually research a company. At that stage, all I thought was, oh, you have to individually research a company and then you've got to pick that that's going to be a good company, and what does a good company even mean? Even if you do pick a good company, how do you know the share prices are going to go up? And I started to think about all these things and it just put me off of actually putting my dollars down on the table. And then speaking of dollars, you start to go, well, how much should I invest? Do I need $1,000? Do I need $10,000? Do I need $100,000 before I start? You start to go, well, it's all too much, and therefore I just said, I'll leave it. I'll do it one day. I can't be bothered. I don't know how to fill out some of the paperwork. How do I create an account? And then I just put it off for a couple years. So what do I wish I had done? I wish I had just started. I wish I'd just put $500 down on one share and started, because I think that's the easiest way to learn something is by just giving it a shot. And obviously you don't want to invest money you can't afford to lose, and therefore you want to make sure you've got a bit of security behind you. But I think if you put down a small amount, even if it's on one company, you're going to start to learn about mindset and how the market actually works. So that's one of the first things I noticed when I started investing. Well, suddenly I started to think more about economics and how does markets move. And I initially started checking the stock market app that I had. So I used CommSec. I was refreshing it 5, 6, 7 times a day, seeing my stock movements, which I don't recommend to do. But I think when you're starting out, it is interesting because it starts to show you what your mindset is. How do you deal when the market drops by 10% in a day? Or how do you go when your share doubles in price? You start to learn, okay, well, how am I going to approach this in the long term? And what do I want to be doing on a daily basis, monthly basis, annual basis? And then as you get started, you start to want to educate yourself on more things. So I started to learn about ETFs. I started to learn about alternate investments such as crypto. And you start to learn about obviously the tracking side of the thing and tracking a market versus your portfolio and what makes up a portfolio. So I think you generally start to educate yourself more on finance, which I think is really great because the more educated you are on finance, the better you can make your money work for you in the long term. In summary, I think it was a lack of someone pushing me and go, you know what, you can do this, just give it a shot. It was that fear of wanting to start but not knowing where to start. And I really wish I had started at 18 years old because I think that would have given me 5 more years of education. I would have been 5 years further along my investing journey. Because now at almost 28, I would have had double the amount of time I've been in the market. So that's something I definitely wish, and if I had my time again, I would have started at 18 just to start that education process earlier. I want to hear from you. What age did you start investing and where did you start? I hope that's been helpful for you. Make sure you hit that like button and stick around and watch some of the other videos I've got on stock market and investing. And I'll talk to you again soon.